So, the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement happened a few weeks back, and I've given reasonable enough time, I feel, for Nintendo to clarify and clear up any complaints and confusion that fans have had regarding both the hardware and software of the new system. I have a lot of thoughts on this, so let's just dive in, shall we? As usual, any likes and comments are really appreciated, and please do subscribe if you like this video, as it really helps me out a lot. So, let's start off with the Switch 2 itself. For clarity, I'll be using the American dollars format to discuss pricing, as that's just easier instead of converting for each region and or country. We now know that the Nintendo Switch 2 will retail for $449.99 for the console, and $499.99 for a bundle, which includes a digital copy of Mario Kart World. For all my disagreements with the Switch 2 and Nintendo currently, I don't really have an issue with the price as far as the console goes. Is it a lot of money in this economy? Absolutely. But for what you're getting, if you're going to use it regularly and take advantage of all it has to offer, I think the price is fair enough. You're getting a bigger screen, the Joy-Cons are now magnetic, which means they're harder to break and or fall off. There is more power for the system, so certain games can be at 4K resolution, 120 frames per second, which is really cool. I know that's typically an industry standard these days, but it's still good that Nintendo have finally got there. You can use the Joy-Cons as a mouse. So yeah, I think there's a lot of new things here that justify the price point. The only issue I have with the system itself is just the battery life, which is apparently going to be worse, aiming between 2 to 6 hours on a full charge. But like I say, you can't have everything if it's going to be a handheld system, so you know, if you want to play a game at extremely high graphics and frame rate, something has to come at a cost to that if you're in handheld mode, so it makes sense. Would I have preferred the system to have been $400 instead? Of course, but listen, I get it, it makes sense for what you're getting, but let's discuss the price points I am not happy with. When Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour was shown off in the Switch 2 Direct, I, like many of you, thought this would be a pack-in game, as a little gift alongside the console to explain all that it has to offer. We've seen similar things happen with Wii Sports on the Nintendo Wii, and Astro's Playroom on the PS4/PS5 systems, which was a great way to introduce people to what the console had to offer, a great insight to what things you could do with the console, and, you know, it's nice to get something that is considered free in the current gaming industry. I was very disappointed to find out this wouldn't be a pack-in game, and listen, despite it being priced at $10, I still don't see it as something I could sit by and ignore. It might sound really picky of me to say, but when you can get a full game from an indie studio that is wonderful, fully fledged, no microtransactions, and that costs $10 or less, yeah, you know, it's quite hard to sell what people are interpreting as a kind of tech demo. Throughout gaming industry history, pack-in games or accessories really do help you as a company long term. You make maybe a short-term profit, but it gets more people through the door, it gets more people interested in certain hardware, software, etc. So I feel like Nintendo kind of made a silly mistake with this. I personally don't see value in paying for Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, but that's just down to each individual as to whether you see it worth $10 or not. As a lifelong Zelda fan, I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild on my launch day Switch 1. I did have some issues with how its story was laid out and the lack of traditional dungeons, but I enjoyed the game all the same. I don't mind the idea of an upgrade pack for the game as it comes to the Switch 2, as the upgrades aren't something I deem as necessary, but for $10, it's nice for users to have the choice if they want it or not. However, I do have an issue with Nintendo launching a special edition of Breath of the Wild for the Switch 2 with a price point of $70. I initially wasn't too insulted by the idea, as I assumed, like many others, it would have bundled in the DLC packs, but I have recently found out, and Nintendo did confirm, it in fact does not. So if you wish to play Breath of the Wild and its 2 DLC packs that we got back in the day, this on Switch 2 version will end up costing you $90 in total, as the DLC is $20. Do I think Breath of the Wild is an incredible game? Absolutely. Is the DLC as incredible? No, but it does add something to the world, and the motorbike's cool. I'm definitely not fully behind this as much as I thought. $70, including the DLC, is still quite pricey for a game this old, but you can kind of then justify it, because in the sense of, oh, well, the game's costing me $50, and the DLC is included for that $20, so that makes it $70. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, I feel like Nintendo maybe fumbled a little bit on that one. Okay, before the final topic of that particular kart game and its price point, I do have to discuss the C button. At first, I thought it might have been introducing something new for everyone to enjoy, but alas, the C button, or chat button, is used to pull up voice chat to hang with your friends. Whether that's by using the mic built into the Switch 2, or by using your Nintendo Switch camera to see each other, you can do this, but not for free. Because how silly of us to think that Nintendo would let us enjoy voice chat with our friends for free. Silly, silly gamers. So yeah, if you want to voice chat with your friends on a Nintendo Discord knockoff, you'll have to have Nintendo Switch Online. Yeah, I know it's the cheapest online service in comparison to Microsoft and Sony, but still, paying to talk to your friends? Wild stuff. Like, people essentially are just going to boot up Discord. That's it. You're just going to boot up the actual Discord at this point. And I know, but it's even wilder that it's a paywall behind a button that is on every single Joy-Con and Pro Controller that you can buy that are official Nintendo products. So essentially, if you never have Nintendo Switch Online, you will have a button you can never use on your controller, which is a wild oversight to me. Like, could you have not incorporated it to the home button? You know, an extra menu that can be tabbed up and then it will, you know, be in the background. I don't think that would have been too hard to implement, but of course Nintendo had to do this thing of, oh, it's this button and it takes you straight to the chat, which, listen, I think is a great idea. But if you're locking people behind a paywall with that button, then it's not such a good idea. I'm aware of the situation we're in the gaming industry, and I understand you have to pay to play online. If you want to play Mario Kart, Mario Party, Splatoon, whatever, you need the online subscription. I have no queries or problems with that. However, you know, can people not just voice chat through their Switch if they want to? You know, one person can be playing online and another person's playing offline with Breath of the Wild. Can we not voice chat through our Switch? It seems a bit, I don't know, do I say lack of foresight, lack of attention to detail, or is it just being greedy? I don't know, but either way, each to their own. If you've got a Nintendo Switch Online, feel free to use the C button, but for most people, you might as well just use regular Discord. Now onto the topic that has got a lot of people heated. Let's discuss Mario Kart World. I'm someone who's grown up with the franchise, and not to brag, I'm very good at the game, #nerd or whatever. So when the trailer showing this off dropped, I was really excited. The new maps, 24 races, grind rails, outfit changes. Listen, this all looks really awesome. And not to be a Debbie Downer, but like a lot of people, I was expecting a $60 price tag, and was baffled when I saw it marked up at $79.99. To play devil's advocate, I understand Nintendo are trying to say that people play Mario Kart for years upon years. It's not a one and done like a single player game. We've seen that with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and therefore Nintendo has made the price replicate that. Yes, you have the luxury with this to choose whether to play on or offline, but let's be realistic, most people just want to play this online and go against their friends or people around the world and see if you can get the highest score and whatnot. I know people are defending this, and the argument is just get the bundle, which makes the game $50, but let's be realistic. The Switch usually sells out very quickly. If there's a bundle that makes a game $30 cheaper, that bundle is going to be what sells out first. So I don't think it's just an easy argument to say, just get the bundle. There will be a lot of people that won't be given that luxury of choice because there just might not be enough stock. For me as a big Mario Kart fan, I'll be honest and say that I cannot justify the price Nintendo are asking, and this is purely due to the current economy that we live in. Wages aren't meeting basic cost of living things, and so I'm a bit more careful with my disposable income these days, and I'm assuming that I'm not alone in this. We end on a simple question. Are Nintendo being greedy, or are they just doing business? It's an easy ask, but not so easy to answer. I can understand as a business you need to make a profit, and I have zero issues with that. But to me, some decisions here by Nintendo aren't very thoughtful or caring towards their consumers. Would it have killed them to have made Welcome Tour on the Switch a free game to enjoy when you bought the system? If a dedicated chat button is present on the official controllers, why can't people chat with their friends without the need for a subscription? In an ideal world, the Switch 2 system would be cheaper, but I'm not going to argue on the hardware price as I understand what you're getting and it does seem fair. But if going forward games are going to be $80 or more, I feel that perhaps I'll be slowly forced out of my hobby of gaming. Well, at least as far as AAA games go. And I might have to just start enjoying purely indie titles that are not only affordable, but also well made. So for me personally, it's equal parts business and greed from Nintendo. They could really benefit from someone inside, helping them to make consumers feel somewhat valued, like Reggie did back in the day. You know, with the Wii, and with the last generation of Switch. In conclusion, I'm not going to get Switch 2 at launch, and probably not for its entire 2025 run. Just because for me personally right now, it's not worth its price point, as I know I just wouldn't be playing on it as much as I currently do with the likes of my Switch 1 and my PS5. I'm happy where I'm at, and I don't see the upgrade as something I essentially need right now. I'm eager to see if more titles arrive on the system that pique my interest, and perhaps then dive into the next generation as those show up. But for now, I'm quite content with what I'm working with. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. Whether you're for or against the Switch 2 system and its pricing, please do let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section, as I'd really like to hear this from every single angle possible. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, this really helps me out as well. That's it for me for today, I'll see you in the next video, goodbye.